So a question you might have right about now as we're heading into the holidays is how do you kind of make sense of what to do between now and going away, having a break? Now this can come up obviously this time of year as we get closer towards Christmas and the holidays, but can also come up whenever you're planning to take, a week or a decent break away from your business and working at what to prioritize when we can kind of have that cramming feeling of trying to do everything all at once in order to take some time off. Kind of that feeling of being like Wile E. Coyote running and racing off the edge of a cliff, and then you suddenly look down and go, whoops. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the process I use, and I recommend trying if it's all just feeling a bit overwhelming just now. So the first thing is to get clear on what has to be done. What has actual deadlines? What is something you will feel disappointed? And I mean, I don't mean a nice to have, but mean like, actually, I really should have got that done. This is important. There was a deadline attached to that, or I'd given a client a delivery time frame and I wouldn't be meeting that if I missed it. Like, get clear on what's the kind of hard and fast things that have to be done first. Distinguish those from the nice to-dos so you can see, okay, these are the things that have to get done, and therefore have a bit of an idea of what capacity you might have for everything else. And capacity can be different for all of us. So you might have kids, you might have health challenges that mean you have a capacity that's not effectively like full-time hours in an office job. You might have a job, you might have a whole multitude of things going on that means your capacity is not necessarily anybody else's capacity, and you know what those things are. So this is about being holistic and recognizing what's realistic for you, and as I say, what those deadlines are. That will give you an idea of what scope, what extra time you have left around that. So the next thing is to just get a pin on what your nice to haves are. What are those other things that are floating around your head that you feel like you need to do? Because you kind of want to put them into some sort of order. So a couple of ways I recommend doing this. You can either just get out like a notebook or a big sheet of paper and just have a big old brain dump, just get them all down on paper so that you can see them in front of you. It's a lot easier to handle that than it is to have all these things kind of energetically zapping you, pulling on your time, and it can feel overwhelming to have all these things not necessarily named. When you brain dump, when you get everything down in front of you, it's defined. You can see what you have and you can start to look at things and score things off that, like, actually that was a nice idea maybe 3 months ago. Now I'm like, yeah, I don't really need to do that one. Or I can see a simpler way to do this. Or, okay, these are my nice to do projects, and now I can start prioritizing which is the most important to look at next. So as I say, you can do a big old brain dump, pen and paper. That's one I tend to use for a kind of decluttering, like clearing my thoughts. But then I use Airtable for actual task management. So rather than writing things down multiple times, I like to use Airtable for the big brain dump of all the things. I just have a big old list of them. I have dates, I have the projects they relate to, and then I can start to see actually what's a priority within there. You can start to play with dates and see, okay, well, this is something I'll maybe look at in a few months' time, or this is something I really want to look at in the next week. You can start to kind of shuffle things around a little bit. And of course, if that changes, if you decide to do things in a different order, it's a lot easier to then just change a date on something rather than write things out multiple times. However, if you're a post-it note person, if you love, having post-it notes, like work with a system you already know what works for you. But the key thing here is to have that brain dump, get everything down, whatever system you prefer using, and to then look at a bit of a priority order there. And I like to think of this a bit like asking them to get into a queue. So rather than you imagining that you kind of almost have your tasks all around you, braying at you, saying, hey, work on me next, I'm really important, and it's just overwhelming, is to say, no tasks, fun, a nice orderly queue in front of me. I just want to see one of you at a time. Now, realistically, with this kind of brain dumping exercise, you're likely to have an idea of, say, 3 things that you want to focus on next or that are more pressing. And then you'll have a bunch of things that are like, okay, you're someone I want to look at in maybe a month. You're maybe someone I want to look at in, 5 months. You could kind of rejig the list a little. I'm not necessarily saying there's going to be one in front of you each time, but you can start to kind of section things off by time frame, so you're not looking at this whole big massive list all at once. And the third thing I recommend, and this is really about clearing your energy and just feeling calmer, is as much as you can to clear your inbox and clear your desktop. Now, if you're someone who has 1,500 emails in there, just do your best with this. I like to set aside maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours to do this kind of task. So if you've got a whole chunk of emails, you might be able to do something where you kind of sort by name and then can mass delete whole sections. But you might just want to do the ones that are more recent, the ones that have come in say in the last couple of months, and just start there so that you know there's nothing that pressing, because if it is something from 3 months or longer ago, probably people would have got back in touch with you by now. So the process I like to use is one I picked up from a book, one of the very first books I ever read on productivity many years ago, which is David Allen's Get Things Done. And one of the things he talks about is a 3-minute rule when it comes to emails or picking things up, really, is if you can do that thing in 3 minutes, do it. So as you go through your emails, it's like, can I make a decision on this right now? Decision made, gone. Decision made, gone. Quick reply, gone. Just go through it. And then anything that might take you more than a couple of minutes to do, you can leave those ones to come back to. And it's a quick way to zoom through everything that's on your list that might feel really overwhelming, to actually letting you see, no, these are the things that maybe need a little more consideration and thought, and you've kind of cleared all the, it's a bit like weeding the garden. You've kind of weeded the garden of the things that you could do quickly. So again, just to recap, if you are getting ready to go away, whether it's for the holidays or you're taking a vacation, then what I recommend is get, first of all, really clear on what your actual priorities are, what has to be done before you go away. The second thing is to have a little bit of a brain dump and putting some form of order into the things that are nice to have. So you can see then, with the capacity you have, what can you get done and what are you going to pick up later. And the final thing is, just to make you feel good and useful, useful for business as well, is to declutter your inbox and your desktop using that kind of 3-minute rule of just looking at something. Can you make a decision? Can you get rid of it right now? Do, and then it'll just feel a lot calmer. You'll have a lot less to look at and to take your energy. As I say, all of this is holistic. So you know your life environment, you know your capacity, you know the commitments that you have. They're all part of this. So it's not like there is a right or wrong way to do this. It's about what feels right for you. But those are the 3 tools I would use to just give you that breathing space so you can start the holidays feeling a lot better and a lot calmer, and not worrying too much about what's there when you come back. I hope you found this useful. I'm Moira Fuller. I'm a business strategist and coach, and I help people put in systems, automations, leveraging what you do in business to make it run around you more, so you spend less time on admin and more time on the work that lights you up and growing your business. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this.